we live in an interesting age in terms of popular science, where I think neuroscience and psychology is getting a lot of attention. People want to know about themselves, right? And I think a lot of we're being sold this idea of like the power of neuroplasticity and the power to sort of shape our behaviors. And from reading your book and actually speaking with a few other people on this podcast who do behavioral genetics and things like that, I was quite surprised to realize that maybe we're more subject to our biology than we would like to think.
Exactly. And my PhD here at Cambridge University was actually looking at synaptic plasticity, this idea that our brain can change in response to our environments. And I think, and obviously I very much believe in that. I could literally see it occurring down the microscope, new connections forming as we learn and remember new things from our environment. So the shape of our brain literally changes in response to the things that we're exposed to in our life. And it's wonderful to see that and to accept that. But I think also we've been almost oversold it.
Right.
There's been a lot of hype about it, as you kind of said. And I think it can be possibly more empowering to actually accept that there is some degree of biological constraint within that scope for plasticity. And so, there's some people that might be, for example, biologically predisposed towards depression. And so for them, it's not helpful for people to say, oh, just think your way out of it. There's plasticity. If you just change the way that you're behaving, then you can change your brain. And so therefore you don't have to be kind of depressed. Sometimes that's not the case. And It can be very helpful to accept that.
Yeah, you toy around this idea of free will. And I feel like there's this tension in your book where you like, do we have free will? Yes or no? And then you kind of invoke philosophy and science, and you cite a lot of other thinkers. And I want to chat with you about like the extent of maybe our free will there, because so how deep does this biological influence go? Because like you mentioned, I can understand that my eye color and my hair color is inherited. That's fine. I can accept that. I look at my mom and dad. I resemble them. That makes sense. And then you kind of branch out a little bit more, and you talk about things like personality. Am I more extroverted or introverted? Well, okay, I can maybe I can accept that those things might be slightly heritable. But then you say things like how we select our friends, and I think, well, no, certainly I screen my friends based on what I think is good moral character. And then you get even further outside of that bubble, like existential questions almost. What are my thoughts? What are my attitudes towards romance? Do I believe in a higher deity? And are those types of questions also? Is there any sort of biological foundation for those types of things?
Yeah. Well, the genomics revolution is really showing that when we look at things like eye color and height, for example, so the genetic heritability, which is the proportion of differences that we see that might be due to the genetic variation within that person. So that heritability value for eye color or for height, for example, could be something in the region of, say, 80-90%. When we look at things like, for example, intelligence as measured by IQ scores, the heritability is estimated to be around 55%. So that's still quite a sizable amount. There's still scope for change within that, because 45% is thought to be due to our environmental factors, maybe our diet or the people that surround us or our schooling, for example. Mm-hmm. But when we look at things like our ideology or even our belief system, our religiosity, then again, we're seeing heritability values of around in the region of 40%.